What is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today we have a ton to go over, so stick around. We're going to talk about an incursion into Taiwan airspace. We're going to talk about, of course, everything else that's going on, the threat from Vlad, and then, of course, the new threat from Xi. So we'll be right back right after this. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. What is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today we have a ton to go over in a short amount of time, so if you are new here, remember you can always follow us over on our website, marfooglenews.com. In fact, live as this show is going on, the website is usually updated with anything that a caller might add into the show, or if there's breaking news. So again, you can follow over on marfooglenews.com and see a full bibliography of all of our sources. So if we show you a picture, a video, a tweet, an article, a document, it's all going to be available on our website. That way you know exactly where this information is coming from. You'll just look for today's thumbnail, incursion, when it becomes more, and then of course you will see every single article link, everything as part of the bibliograph is all right there at your fingertips. That way you can read further. If we only read a couple paragraphs of an article, you can finish it later, or you can go back retrospectively and check my work. Now, once you hit a yellow bar called web-only content, that is the stuff that is too hot for TV, too far to one direction for us to cover here on most platforms. And again, that is also the stuff that is, again, too far to one direction to where we can't stay neutral. And again, most of the stuff there, it's stuff that will just cause endless arguments with 5,000 people in the chat where we did that, we're not doing it again. So again, go down there, tons of stuff. More people go to the website than actually watch live. It is used a lot now, so make sure to go over there and check it out. It is an entire other show. All right, let's bring in my co-host / internet brother, Dex James. How are you doing today, and what is going on?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I am doing just fine.
So the bird cough outbreak nears worst ever in U.S. with 37 million perished. And of course, we're talking about birds. It says the bird cough that has been sweeping across the U.S. is rapidly becoming the country's worst outbreak, having already taken the lives of 37 million chickens and turkeys, and with more deaths expected through the next month as farmers perform mass culls across the Midwest. It says under guidance of the federal government, of course, because they're here to help, farms must destroy entire commercial flocks if just one bird tests positive for this cough to stop the spread, and that's leading to distressing scenes across rural America. In Iowa, millions of animals in vast barns are suffocated in high temperatures or with poisonous foam. In Wisconsin, lines of dump trucks have taken days to collect masses of bird carcasses and pile them in unused fields. Neighbors live with the stench of decaying birds. So, first of all, what is crazy to me is that they have not figured out a system to where if one tests positive, they can separate part of it. I don't know, maybe it's because of the lifespan of birds, or maybe it's because of how long that this sits dormant or whatever else. Think about it if this was in a person, right? If one, if one had it, then they just take out the whole city. As far as what we have done is if one person has it, then they are quarantined and then the rest of the people are separated. And if anybody had contact with that person, then they are separated for a certain amount of time. Do they not know enough about how long this lasts in their system? It's kind of crazy that they're just going to take out, if there's 100,000 birds on a farm, they're going to take them out. So what do you think about this? Obviously, with every other food-related story out there, this is adding up to be one of the craziest years in history as far as this kind of news goes. If you don't realize how this is going to affect us, well, just think about it. The food and everything else that is, they're already saying that we're going to have a shortage, and now we have all of this as well. Not to mention Robert Redfield, the ex-cat dog and cat director. He actually said that the next big thing, the next CV, would actually be a bird-related illness that transferred over to humans. That is also what Mr. Billy said, Mr. G. Gates said as well. They're both predicting this next thing, and it's going to come from humans. Now, we already had one of the first cases, and I believe it was I'm not going to even try to guess because I cannot remember. It was, Dex, I don't know if you remember the state that it was Indiana or Colorado or something like that, where we had the first human bird-to-human case. But either way, we covered that just a few weeks ago, and it is obvious that this, I think it was H5N1 that transferred over to humans. So, again, that has already happened, and is it going to grow, or are they going to do this instead? A lot of people are questioning what is actually going on. Real quick, I do want to repeat, today is a call-in show, so if you do want to call, this black bar down below is the call-in number. It has 224400-MARF, and again, that is 224400-6273. If you want to call in, you're a first-time caller, or you've always wanted to call in, and today is the day you got the courage to do so, make sure to call that number and press option 4. That's 224400-MARF. That's 2244-006273. And then both versions of that phone number, including if you don't know what MARF means on a phone, that will be scrolling along afterwards. Now, I highly encourage anybody with information on what is going on. A couple days ago, we had Justin True, amazing call. Him and his family actually went out on a boat, and they firsthand saw Vladian surveillance ships sitting right outside of Hawaii. U.S. government was trying to hail them, and they were flying jets and helicopters following them and seeing what they were doing. Again, that was a great call. A call like that is definitely something we would love to get. So again, but otherwise, anyone is welcome to call. Make sure to do so. And then we have an interesting piece here. I don't know how they actually say this so quite matter-of-factly. Basically, the New York Post has put out, they didn't say like may have, they say T-Man quietly encouraged Elon to buy Twitter. And of course, as you know, T-Man is the Truth Social CEO. So he's the competitor, and he quietly told Elon to do this. Well, this was Elon's response. It says, "This is false. I've had no communication directly or indirectly with T-Man, who has publicly stated that he will be exclusively on his platform." So one thing a lot of people don't understand is why would him, the competitor, say, hey, you should go buy this? Again, if he doesn't have the intention of coming over, where are they getting this story? Where did they get the information? And why even legacy media, which New York Post, of course, there's a history with that over the last couple of years in Twitter. How do they just say matter-of-factly as it's a fact? Do they have a recorded audio of him saying that? How can they say that without proof? Now, you may not care either way, but I just like how the legacy media essentially says something as a fact, especially, how can that be proved? Do they have proof of it? Or, I bet ya, there's probably a piece in there that says, from a source that's familiar with the matter, or an anonymous source that cannot risk his position, or something like that. You never know if it's confirmed or not. So that would just be weird. What do you think about that? Do you think that there's a back angle here? Do you think that there's some sort of weird reason that maybe it's true? I would love to hear it down in the comments below. Also, I want to thank everybody that has popped over and already supported over on DLive. Thank you, Arizona Ice Queen. I appreciate you. And also, interesting story. I guess you have worked with big music, so I was reading all of your comments from yesterday, and that's pretty amazing. Kelly2334, looks like you've worked with Metallica and Motley Crue. That's really cool. Kishara, Kelly2334, Karen from Columbus, Vicky K, Jammer1, Renegade PD, and Razar. Thank you, everybody. Which, by the way, Arizona Ice Queen's comments were saying that basically she's worked with the big musicians and she never saw drug use in like the rock star circle. So specifically Motley Crue, isn't that? I'm pretty sure there's a couple of guys who went to rehab in that one. And then Metallica, and never witnessed it. Well, maybe they just hit it very well. I don't know. Either way, crazy stuff. Go back to yesterday's show if you want to see what we were talking about then and why that was relevant. And then 500 kilos of cocaine found in coffee bags at Nespresso plant. So we've all seen the movies and we've all seen some of the science fiction and some of the Netflix shows that show this kind of stuff happen, but rarely do we see the actual stories of this because this is a big company, and apparently at their actual plant, it was being used to package up the cocaine. It says employees at an Nespresso factory in a Swiss town discovered more than 500 kilograms of coca in bags of coffee beans from Brazil. It says Nespresso said employees immediately informed the police on Monday after discovering a suspicious substance on its production site in Romont. It says the cocaine is more than 80% pure, and its market is estimated at more than 50 million francs, or $50 million. They said on the address label, it said Johnny Depp's house. No, I'm just kidding. I added that part. But so they say it's the good stuff. It's 80% pure, which I think is up there, right? It's with the Breaking Bad solid stuff, right? So this was really good stuff. How did it end up in a factory like this? Was it supposed to go to a different Nespresso plant that knew what was going on, and that was part of the deal? Did it accidentally get trucked to the wrong Nespresso plant, and these employees were like, what the heck is going on here? One thing I do know is there's all sorts of corrupt, very high up people that are involved in the trade of course, that and many other things, including all of a sudden over the last year, things like fentanyl have been absolutely just taking people out left and right, and it came out of nowhere. And in fact, what was before that? Well, that was, tar, heroin, that kind of thing. And that was coming from mostly Afghanistan. And now that we've pulled out of that, it's like, okay, that's gone. And now this new thing that's now produced in G-land is now here, and it's taking people out left and right. So I absolutely think that there was probably some knowledge of this, and there was probably some mistake that it went to the wrong place or something. It said Nespresso said, but think about this. Nespresso said all of its products are safe to consume, and it strictly quality controls for incoming shipments of green coffee. So, there's nothing like waking up to cocaine in your cup. Dex?
Maybe it was meant for Elon. Wasn't he supposed to be buying Coca-Cola and putting it back in?
Yeah. So if you don't know what he's talking about, Elon tweeted, he says, I'm going to buy Coca-Cola and put cocaine back in it. That is too funny.
Yeah, he likes trolling everybody. He's really good at that, especially with his tweets. It's sometimes funny to see if he which sometimes you look at it and go, is he for real or is he just messing with everybody at the moment?
Yes. Let's see here. It says a space jellyfish soared over Florida thanks to SpaceX launch. I'm sorry. I think something flew in my mouth. I apologize, guys. Oh, man. It went like directly to the back of my throat. That was bad. It says a space jellyfish soared over Florida thanks to the SpaceX launch. Check this out. So we have seen some pretty wild stuff over the years, but this and the pictures that came out of it are just absolutely nuts. Look at the arc that this thing has, and then that's part of the piece that comes down. So I believe it separates, and then the part that comes down makes more rockets because it's trying to land or something. It says the SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket lifted off from pad 39A. At Kennedy Space Center early Friday morning. This time exposure image captured the space jellyfish effect on the viewed by from Port Canaveral Marine. The white streak on the horizon was caused by light from a cruise ship coming into port. Jellyfish are a common sight among the Florida coast, but people who watched the latest rocket launch from the Kennedy Space Center were treated to a unique sight. Friday morning's SpaceX launch generated a visual phenomenon known as space jellyfish, rewarding people who got up early to see the Falcon 9 rocket's launch with a striking spectacle. The ethereal cloud of illuminated gas highlighted against the pre-dawn darkness. So I think the two main pictures are here, so I'll zoom in so you guys can see this. Check that out. That is just funky looking. Look, it looks something like, I don't know. And this is long exposure. You see the light here down at the bottom. I wonder if they moved side to side to follow it. And yeah. If you have better pictures of this, I know that a lot of the Foogle fam actually go down and watch all of these launches. Send them to me and we'll post it. Or if you have video, if you have a nice camera with a big zoom, let us know. I'd love to put it on the show. You can go to marfooglenews.com/playmyvideo. All right, and then let's see here. Virginia Doolin, what's going on? Greg Martin. Mr. Hamilton, JT, Wide Awake and Angry. Karen from Columbus. Hey, it says type 1 if you shared the show tonight. I agree. Thank you so much for saying that. Thank you for everybody that has shared it out. Malia Hamam, Teacup Pug. The first episode they watch is me hacking it. That's great. Bruce Wayne, Sydney Gardner, what's going on? The Major is here. We've got the Bitter Critter. It's nice to see you. And Junebug says Xi stole Tesla, or his country did. So look at that. Absolutely crazy looking. This is the future here. And then we have CDC investigating 109 cases of severe HEPA in children across 25 states and territories, including 5 unalives. It says the at prevention investigating 109 cases of severe hepatitis, including 5 perished. 90% of the small ones were hospitalized, and 14% required liver transplants. So we've followed this, and this is an update to a previous story that we actually covered. This is now very public and in very many legacy medias. Everyone has a thought of why this is all of a sudden happening in the last 2 years. But again, that's up to you and your discerning mind. And then before we talk about at least 8 taken in an explosion at a historic hotel in Cuban capital Havana, and we go to our first caller. Again, the number is 224400-MARF. We'll be going over to the phone here in just a moment. And it looks like we have Twisted Luck Truth on hold. I do want to remind you, if you have not already, if you want to get your ducks in a row, you can go over to marfooglenews.com/prep, and you can get long-term sealed MREs that are then double sealed, again, depending on what you get. Say the 1 month supply or the 3 month supply, they're actually sealed in buckets on top of being sealed in individual MREs. This is food that essentially can get you through any kind of disaster. It doesn't have to be the end of the world. It can be pretty much anything from your power going out to a tornado to anything. Again, this is something smart. It is something responsible. People have insurance on almost everything. They have car insurance, house insurance, health insurance, life insurance. But most people don't have food insurance. You should have extra food and water around for anything that may happen. This is just a responsible thing to do. If you go over to marfooglenews.com/prep right now, they have $150 off on the 3 month supply. And of course, they also have other things. They have the Alexa Pure, a very professional gravity-fed water filtration system if you do not trust your water. And they also have iodine tablets, power supplies, emergency radios, pretty much everything you need, especially if you're into gadgets. Go over there and check out everything they have. They have fire starters, all sorts of really cool stuff that you may need. If you've ever seen Naked and Afraid, it would be like having that times 100 with some of their simplest kits. So again, make sure to go over there and check it out. marfooglenews.com/prep. Each purchase over there helps us. Basically, they not only give you a discount on some things, but they're also giving us a commission of your purchase, which helps us run our independent agency. So thank you. I appreciate you. Love you guys. We don't have anybody backing us up. We don't have a company behind us. We don't have a multi-channel network. We have you guys. We have the Foogle fam, and that's it. All right, let's get Twisted Luck Truth on, and then we'll be talking about some of the other things going on. Twisted Luck Truth from Florida.
Hey,
and then
what's going on, Adam? Dex, Foogle fam. Top of the morning to you.
Hey, top of the day. Hello, Governor. So what's going on? So
hello, Governor.
Crazy things in the sky and a humming in Florida. What's going on with that?
Crazy, and it kind of relates to the rocket launch too. Not this one, but the one last week. And it's weird. This space jellyfish. That's something else. Real quick, a few months ago, there was a launch, and I recorded it, and I posted it months back. And that was the first time I saw what they're calling this jellyfish. And I've been recording them ever since, every time they launch something, in case I get something crazy like that again. That stunned me that first time. It looked like it was some kind of alien. Who knows what that, I had no idea what that was. And I haven't seen it again since. I've been in Florida. I've seen lots of launches and never seen it. And today, because of the time, I wasn't going to get up that early for it. So this is the first one I didn't record. And of course, it did it again. But what's weird, in local media around here, they're saying, oh, the reason for that, what you're seeing up there is the exhaust fumes so high up in the atmosphere. And the sun was about to rise. The sun is reflecting off of those, and that's why you see this jellyfish. But when I recorded it, and the first time I saw it, it was like 10 or 11 o'clock at night. So that wasn't quite at sunrise. So I'm not sure. And I've heard a few different reasons, a few different media outlets say it's this reason or that reason. So I don't really know what it is, but it's very strange. But last week's launch, leading up to it the night before, I think it was just before 4 a.m. they did that launch. And I decided to live stream it just in case. But that night, there was a lot of military aircraft. And I'm not right there at Kennedy Space Center. I'm a bit further away. We can see the launches, but, not from close. So we don't typically see military aircraft where I am. It's not uncommon to see military aircraft around a launch or something like that. But there was a big Air Force plane. I forget what it was called, but it's the biggest in the fleet. I'd seen that. And then a Chinook, U.S. Army Chinook, and they were coming from east to west. And this is about 9 o'clock at night, so 6-7 hours before that launch. I heard this weird, I can only describe it as this hum, almost sounded like an It could have been something idling, like an engine idle, or a helicopter, an airplane, or some sort of just low, deep, distinct hum. And I was outside searching for it. It was coming from up. That's all I knew. It was coming from up. And everywhere I went, it was up there somewhere. I couldn't see anything. It was not moving. And it would fade out, and then it would come back after, I don't know, 30 seconds. And I started to worry that maybe I was getting a little bit crazy. And then other people, I said, hey, come, do you hear this? And other people said, yeah, what is that? No idea. We never figured it out. And I actually tried to record it, tried to get audio of it, but it was so low and deep I couldn't get it. But it was crazy. It was so weird. And I left for a short time. And when I came back, someone told me that she said she saw this crazy thing in the sky. She was looking for me. She couldn't find me. She described it as this huge thing. And I know she's not the type of person that would make something up. And she was genuinely shocked by this. She saw some big stationary thing that she described as huge and bigger than an airplane, bigger than a helicopter, sitting kind of low, stationary, and it had flashing lights around it and one solid ring of light around it. Now she's kind of, I don't know, she's a great person, but she doesn't, she's got like an old flip phone without a camera. Even if she did have a modern day phone, she's not the type of person that would even think to take a picture. She said it was there for a while. It stayed there, and she just went back to her business until she saw me, and then it was gone. So I didn't get to see that. She is credible, and I know she saw something just crazy. But it was weird that was the same night. I hadn't told her about the strange noise in the sky. Same night as that, and the military aircraft, and then hours later, the launch. So because of everything, and there was a lot of media focus on that launch too, more than normal, and it was a manned launch. And it was just for hours and hours, heavy media. They were like, look at this, make sure you see this, look at this. And it was more than normal. And it just felt weird. There was just some weird feeling about that launch. I don't know why. So I decided last minute to live stream it. And it was regular, nothing happened. No giant jellyfish hovering above, the skies. It was just regular. But the next day, heavy sky art began being painted in the sky. Lines and grids and X's and O's and cloud rainbows. Super heavy. Heavier than normal. And that went on for 2 days. And I started to notice that in the second day, I woke up, I didn't have my normal energy level. I kind of felt worn out, drained, not really tired, but just kind of worn out. Figured it was just me. Later, my wife mentioned she felt the same way. I was out in different places, and I overhear people saying the same thing. Like some lady at a store said to a customer, hey, how you doing today? He said, all right, just feeling really run down today, though. And the lady says, yeah, me too. That's weird. He says, oh, must be something in the air. And I'm standing there thinking, yeah, probably more than you realize. And I also noticed at the same time, more people coming up with, coughs and sneezes and sniffles and things like that, and fearing it's something else. So I did some things that, I can't talk about on YouTube, some natural things to try to counter different things. And it worked. Within 30 minutes, I had my normal energy level back, and everything was normal. And my wife, the same thing, worked for her. And so, and then I see more and more people coming up saying after, over the next few days, more people not feeling good, more people going to seek treatment for who knows what. So I've been doing these natural things that I do now with a nebulizer daily now as just preventative maintenance, because it stayed kind of heavy, the sky art, but it lessened up a little bit. But this morning, with this launch that I missed in the jellyfish, that went on. So the heavy art last week started right after that launch. Today, this morning, starting first thing this morning, the sky art was the heaviest possibly I've ever seen it. I recorded little clips of it throughout the day, and just insane. Completely hazed out the sky, the sun, before noon. Just completely hazed everything out. And then if it would start to clear, more would be drawn in the sky, and they kept that like that all day. And I have a feeling, and on some of the videos, some talking about this, people all over the country and even Canada are saying, hey, me too, we're seeing that here too, and also feeling the same things you're describing here. So I'm thinking this is leading up to something that, they're going to put fear into everybody and say it's something else. But I can't help but notice the irony, but I don't believe in irony, of these launches of, because we need millions of internet satellites up in the sky, I guess. But it's just weird. The rockets go up and that starts heavy again. I see a weird connection. And, we're either, so I always say, we're either in the most coincidental times in world history, or nothing is a coincidence.
Well, I have heard the sound once before, like really, really, really big, and it was the one other time that many people in Seattle or Washington heard it. And I guess once you've heard any kind of just completely out there sound that comes from the sky, and it's not a plane, it's not a helicopter, it's not something, it's pretty wild as far as hearing the trumpets or the hum or the weird metallic sounds from the sky. It has been a mystery for a long time. As far as like it surrounding the actual launch of SpaceX, who knows? Maybe they're clearing something, or they're able to use certain systems that, stuff like the musical instrument that the government can play.
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe they have to open up a hole or something before they launch or something. But there's definitely something weird going on. And over the last 5 years, even, mainstream media has not stopped questioning it, and nobody knows what it is. But I bet you the government does.
Oh, they for sure know what it is. There's so much in the sky. I've watched the sky for a while. And if people start looking up, you're seeing more in the sky right now than ever before. And it's more and more all the time. And how people can miss it. I don't know how people can be under this all the time and just go along like everything's normal. It's up there all the time.
Well, thank you for calling in, Twisted. We have your video on the website, so you can actually go over and see Twisted Luck Truth's video of the launch and everything else over on marfooglenews.com under callers. Twisted Luck Truth is what are you at now? You're getting bigger. You've been putting out stuff, right?
Yeah, they play games with me. You know how the games work. We're just below 8,000 right now. They start. We'll get to a point where I don't think I do anything wrong. I try to watch what I say and mind my P's and Q's, and suppress my freedom of speech and all that. But still, as careful as I am, though, every once in a while they'll start taking the sub count down. I don't think subscribers actually go away, but the count goes down to an even 10 per day. And they'll do that for a little while, and then suddenly it'll turn back around, and 10 per day will start coming back up. It's crazy. But yeah, right now we're sitting just below 8,000. Well, and there's lots of Foogle fam in there, and everybody's awesome. It's such an awesome community, and so many Foogle fam has spilled over into there, and it's awesome. A lot of good people.
Well, Twisted Luck Truth, congratulations. Getting over 5,000 is a big hump, and you're almost to 10,000, so that is a big deal. Don't worry about them taking people, because they do it every day. The bigger you get, the more they take. We lose about 200 people every single day, and really what it is about gaining more people than you lose. So we lose 200, we gain 250, then on those days we'll have, 50 new people. If we lose 200 and we gain 400, then we have 200 new people. So if you notice, a lot of these people say that, we're not affected. If you look, there'll be these growth periods of our channel growing like 10,000 in a month and a half, and then there will be 6 months where it just stays at the same sub count. It is all how you fit into the algorithm, and it changes constantly. So don't stress about it, and don't think about that number. Those are people, and even if they do get unsubscribed, they type your name into the bar and they find you.
Yeah, I know if you're talking about, just reality and being real and true and things like that, you're not going to, I don't care about the numbers. I'm thrilled to reach 50 people. When I got to 50 people, I was amazed by that. And, a lot of it is to discourage you, to shut you up, and, to not speak anymore. But if I've got 5 people listening, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. So, but I appreciate all the more than 5 people.
Well, thank you, Twisted Luck Truth. Always a pleasure talking to you, and thank you for calling in tonight. Let's get them to 8,000. We can do it today. Go over to Twisted Luck Truth, and he will also be available over on marfooglenews.com. That link is over there. He has been part of the Foogle fam for a very long time. Everyone knows that he is a very polite gentleman, and he definitely does some great videos. If you remember, he was the same one who videotaped and recorded a lot of those weird, strange street lights that were all getting replaced for these weird blue lights, almost UV type of lights. So we're a little bit behind schedule, so let's fly through these next articles. We have at least 8 perished in the explosion at historic hotel in Cuban capital Havana. At least 8 people were taken and 30 more injured in an explosion at an under construction at a historic hotel in the Cuban capital of Havana Friday morning. Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel was at the scene of the Hotel Saratoga, where early investigations show that the explosion was likely caused by a gas leak. Okay. It's always a gas leak. Cannot tell you how many important places have had gas leaks recently. The Cuban News Agency, or ACM, published photos showing severe damage to the Hotel Saratoga in Havana and clouds of dust billowing into the sky. Search and rescue work is ongoing at the hotel, where people may still be trapped. The hotel was reportedly undergoing some sort of construction or renovations at the time of the blast. I guess what we always wonder is who was on the guest list, who was in that hotel at that time. And then, by the way, Dex, there's a link. I do not have the super thanks, so I don't know if you can grab that and then possibly even just do the super thanks and thank people when you get those. I don't have access to it, so I don't want to forget about those guys. And then thank you, Shanjak, says, saw a flash through shades, 3-second pause, then heard an earth-shattering kaboom about 2 weeks ago, some miles from Lake Washington. Rogue bolt, no rumble though. Thought WW Plus started for a minute after. So Sean Jock, so you are in Washington. I feel like we heard a boom too, but we thought it was something like local and checked, because we checked and it was like a car crash or something. Somebody hit a pole close. But about a couple weeks ago, we heard a big boom, and I was about to go live on it, and then I saw something on Citizen that said that a car crashed into a pole close by. So I didn't know, but that's weird. And then EMP Shield stopped by. This is a shout out to the Foogle fam, Adam and Dex. This is such an amazing community. So glad I caught you all live. Andrew. So, hey, thank you again. If you guys don't know about EMP Shield, make sure to check them out. Like I've always said, the people that started EMP Shield are in our community. They're preppers. Andrew, in fact, was a YouTuber before he was with EMP Shield, and he was covering a lot of the prep subjects. He actually covered a lot of things that we cover here. Their whole crew is just absolutely amazing. Like they're the only company that's ever personally reached out and like sent Christmas videos of their whole factory, saying hello to the Foogle fam. They are really an amazing company. They're veteran owned. So thank you. And they're the only company that actually supports, Andrew personally supports us and stops by and does super chats. He does for all of their affiliates, I believe. So that's like That's something that's kind of goes beyond a lot of what companies do. So thank you guys. I appreciate that. And then Mystery School says, I constantly feel the ground vibrate, and I've been hearing the hum since 2010. Daytona, I feel connected to underground base that connects to this in O-Town. So I know that a lot of you, because I've seen your emails over the years, a lot of you have heard the mysterious trumpets in the sky. It is a real thing. They don't even in some of the most skeptical places, they don't debate that it does exist. This isn't something where they think this is a theory. They think it's they don't say it's a crazy theory. They say it's a natural phenomenon, or they'll claim it's a unknown or mysterious phenomenon, but they do not say it is fake. People for sure hear these weird sounds, and once you hear them, there's once you've heard it once, it's absolutely wild. We've done whole shows about the trumpets in the sky, and it usually revolves when the whole world will hear it. We showed you in previous shows, we showed you that across the planet, people were hearing it at the same time. Videos went up from the Middle East, from Ohio, from Canada, from Mexico, hearing this mysterious hum. Very, very odd stuff, and we still don't know what it is. There are websites that actually track that. Very, very crazy stuff. And then Irish Rebel, thank you for your support. I appreciate you, Irish. You don't have to do that, and I really do appreciate you for going above and beyond. And then Stephen McMahon, thank you as well. Mystery School, again, thank you, and thank you. Wish I had my camera perfect spot here in Daytona, and 4 planets were aligned with pieces in the backdrop. Man, I want to see at least one of those in my lifetime. JT, 4 fighter jets spotted headed towards the west coast, about 30 miles north of Grants Pass 3 days ago. Thanks for what you do, changing the world. JT, I appreciate that. Fishing for Truth, thank you for subscribing. Welcome to the Marfia. And then we have, of course, Simply Pony. The best part of waking up is Marfoogle in your cup. Sounds sus. Anyways, Henlo, Mother Fooglers. Jeffrey Askins, thank you for your massive support for the show. I believe that's the first time, so thank you so much. I appreciate your support, and you can always write a message there, and it can also be, $1. It doesn't have to be that, so thank you. 007 says Schwab announced earlier that they are fast-forwarding the 2030 AGEN. And Bible Talk 777 says Redfield and Billy G, are prophets, or are they murderers? What say you? I would go to the latter, right? The sexual conspiracy. What's going on? Deborah Garner, Brew City, Candace Yates. Thank you so much. And I appreciate you, Red Pill. All right, let's go over to USC's NK nuclear test as early as this month. Well, it's every month, right? It says the United States said Friday that it believes NK may be preparing a nuclear test as soon as this month, its first since 2017. So this isn't a missile test that's just launching and landing in the water. This is an actual nuclear test where they boom, boom, and blow it up. It says the State Department went public with its assessment amid mounting U.S. frustrations with NK, which has carried out a series of missile tests. It said the United States assesses the DPRK is preparing its Punji re-test and could be ready to test there as early as this month. It says this assessment is consistent with the DPRK's own recent public statements. It says we have shared this information with allies and partners and will continue closely coordinating with them as well. So, by the way, the other warning that they gave us is that NK said that they would preemptively strike us or somebody else. Dex, that is right. Is it not? The DPRK or Kim supposedly said they threatened a preemptive strike.
Yes, they did. It was in response to, I think, the SK below them saying that they would, target all of their locations, and if they needed to do something due to aggression.
Huh. So they're basically, and now they're saying that they may test a missile. By the, when you look at that, do any of you ever think, well, what if that test ended up not being a test and they actually did launch? We have followed as far as the EMP task force. They have said that NK is one of the biggest threats, as far as they already have the technology for a fractional orbital bombardment system, which can essentially go around the planet, then come around where we don't have defenses, and then essentially hit us with an EMP, and there would be very little to defend against it, which is crazy to me, since they know that if that's one of the biggest priorities in their eyes, then how have they not come up with a system to stop it yet? That is why companies like EMP Shield are helping to protect different buildings and infrastructure. So again, that's why we suggest everybody start doing it on their own, because frankly, nobody's going to save you. Nobody's going to do it for you. If you own your house or if you own your cars, nobody's going to come up and say, hey, we've got something for free for you and it will save your life. Kelly Joe, 4+ years watching. Adam, Dex, and Mods, you guys rock. Hey, thank you so much. Simply Pony, appreciate you as well. Thank you for all the support tonight. What do you think about this? Do you think it's more just blowing smoke or what? And then we have Xi stages second largest air incursion into Taiwan defense zone this year. It says that Xi just sent 18 warplanes, including fighters and boomers, into Taiwan's air defense zone on Friday, the island's government said, in the second largest one-day incursion this year. Taiwan lives under constant threat of an invasion by Beijing, which sees the self-ruled democratic island as part of its territory to be retaken one day, by force if necessary. The final quarter of 2021 saw a spike in incursions by Xi into Taiwan's Air Defense Identification Zone, or the ADIZ, with the biggest single-day breach on October 4th, when 56 warplanes entered the zone. On Friday, 18 aircraft, including 12 J-11 and J-16 fighter jets, as well as 2 H-6 boomers, those are nuclear-capable boomers, crossed into the ADIZ. Taipei's defense ministry said it was the second largest single-day sortie this year, after 39 warplanes entered the zone on January 23rd, according to a database compiled by AFP. The ministry said it scrambled its own aircraft to broadcast warnings and deployed air defense missile systems to track the jets. Taiwan only started regularly publicizing its data on air incursions in September of 2020. Turns out before that they had many incursions that basically went, they quietly kind of pushed under the rug, but now it's gotten to the point where it's very serious. In October 2021 remains the busiest month on record with 196 incursions. So that was just 6 months ago. That was, again, 196 incursions in 1 month. Carol McLean says, so glad I found your show. Love you guys, Dex and Mods. Hey, thank you and appreciate that. Thank you for your support. Thank you for being here for a long time, Carol. I appreciate you and appreciate the crew. And then before we talk about Vlad's new flagship on fire in Neptune missile strike near Snake Island, again, we just admitted that we helped them strike the last one, the Moskva. Now there's a new ship on fire. Let's go to our next caller, and while you're getting the caller on, Dex, it looks like we have, let's see here. Looks like we have 11 Pagan 11. Oh, and talking about the Vladian submarine. That's going to be a good one. I actually talked to my wife about that, and she told me about what you said on Twitter about the whole thing with the submarine. So that is an exciting call. All right. But before we talk about that, I do want to remind you right now, if you have not already, make sure to go over and check out, since this seems like good timing since Andrew stopped by. If you guys haven't checked out their company, the reason why we represent this so hard is because we actually believe in this company. Not only did this company start before they got all of their crazy contracts with agencies like DHS and DOD, They were a very small company working out of one building in Kansas, hand building these things, and they had a product that really just outshined all of the rest. And that's because their EMP shield can not only stop or, ground the signal of all three phases of an EMP in 500 trillionths of a second, but it can also protect you against CMEs, so the natural kind, a Carrington level event. So if and when we have an actual solar flare that hits us with a CME that's strong enough to knock down our grid, again, we will have a very strong one. We'll have a Carrington level event at some point. We just don't know when. This can actually protect your devices. It can protect your cars. It can protect your house, your boats, your RVs, your motorcycles, even your ham radio. They make a different device for pretty much everything, including they have now just started making devices that can protect the energy solar generator. So no matter what you have, they most likely have a device that can actually ground the signal of these, and multiple times with zero degradation to the unit. And it can just keep taking it. These are Keystone military tested, and again, this is the same company that was actually mentioned in the EMP resilience report by Department of Homeland Security. This is a no-joke product, and again, it outshines all of the rest. It's 100% American-made. Every single piece, every screw in this thing is made here, and it's a veteran-owned business. Not only that, with our grandfathered-in discount, you will get $50 off per device. And again, that means if you get 3, you will get $50 off per. That's $150 off. If you get 2, that's $100. Again, really good discount for all of the Foogle fam. Make sure to go over to marfooglenews.com/EMP. Again, that's marfooglenews.com/EMP. All right, it looks like we have Pagan. Pagan, you're live.
Hey, Adam, how's it going?
Hey, so my wife told me about what you were saying about the submarines, and it kind of just like, I was crazy shocked. I never thought of that myself. I mean, it's simple, but it's at the same time, it's like, that totally makes sense. So why don't you tell it yourself?
Well, I was just sitting here thinking the other day whenever I saw that we had an unidentified ship 10 miles off the coast of Hawaii. And I was watching your show the other night, and whenever, or I don't remember if it was a show or if it was one of your shorts, like little clips you do before you go live before your show. But one of your thumbnails was like a 200 or a 300 foot wave.
Yeah.
Well, that, would come onto the West Coast here. Well, I seen that thumbnail, and it just like, you know how you do remember something and it's like almost you get sucked through a tunnel and then bam, you're there at that memory. And I was like, oh my gosh, that bear that was off, I don't remember exactly where off the coast, but that they averted world catastrophe, that those bears died on that ship. So, and then whenever you did that one, I was like, wait a minute, that ship is off the coast of Hawaii, 10 miles. And if it can do that, it would completely decimate not only Hawaii, but it would completely decimate the entire West Coast. And in California, we have 1 or 2 different ports, and we have a lot of military stuff that's really close to that coast down south. So, and it just, I was like, holy cow. And I've just been like, oh God, I've got to refresh everybody's memory, because this is just so wild and so big that it all just fits together. And I think we are closer to a conflict than anybody realizes or wants to believe. And I just feel like it's really tied together, and our heads are always on a swivel, but we just need to remember this, because we have all these things distracting us right now. We have the JD show that's all over YouTube, and everybody's talking about JD and AH. And it's just, we're completely distracted, the leaks that happened with the courts and whatnot. And we're just being severely distracted, and we're not paying attention to what we need to be paying attention to. So I just thought I'd call in and kind of refresh everybody's memory about it, and just remind everybody that it might be a little deeper than anybody's wanting to admit.
So I just want to let people know that are not familiar with this. I tried to pull up the Bloomberg article, but it's making me subscribe. So I'm pulling up the New York Post. So the Vladians that basically there was an accident in the sea with a very, very top secret submarine. And this was back in 2019 or 2019. And essentially what happened is this caught fire inside. Whatever happened, 17 sailors perished. Now, at the time, that day, I was downtown Seattle, and I believe I was down there shooting a video. And what happened is I remember getting a call from Dex, and he's like, something's up. The president, basically, his schedule was cleared, and at the time it was T-Man. President Pence, or VP Pence, was on a flight somewhere. They said that he had turned around and went back to the White House. You had a Cobra meeting in the UK or in Europe, basically the emergency defense ministry kind of thing. And then you had Vlad have an emergency defense ministry meeting. So all this stuff was going on at the same time. And apparently this top secret sub caught fire. And a lot of us question, like, did it have a, this wasn't a weapons submarine. Normally, nobody knows what this submarine's really for. It was called the Lasheric. But it's top secret, and even we don't know everything about it, even like our high clearance people. But this thing caught fire, and then at the funeral of the 17 sailors, it said, the commander said that these sailors essentially prevented a planetary catastrophe. Now, remember, they have said that they have this nuke that can cause 300-foot wide, or actually now they're saying 1,500-foot tall waves, 500 meters in the sky, could wipe out a whole country because they would take all the water and just shove it over everything, right? This caught fire, and apparently some are saying that the 17 sailors, to prevent the fire from spreading to this big weapon, sealed them off and purposely basically took their own lives to stop it from preventing, because this submarine had basically literal balls. They call it Lasheric because it's their inside of the main hub is these juggling balls. They named it after a juggling clown because it has this weird structure that can go super deep. And then they may have locked themselves in to prevent. Now, what Pagan has said is essentially that they may have done this because they had one of those 1,500 meter or 1,500 feet nukes on board, and maybe that's why. So, Pagan, very good catch.
Yes, no problem. I just wanted to bring it back to your attention, and just something we need to keep an eye on. So that's all. And I miss you guys too. So had to call in and say hi.
All right. Well, hey, it's nice talking to you again. It's been a while. I hope you're doing well.
Yeah.
And again, have a great day. Be safe.
Yep. You too, Adam. Love you guys. Have a good night.
All right. Bye-bye. Marf out. So, I mean, think about that. If there was one of these weapons on board, and this is right around when he said he had them, and something happened. Maybe they hit another boat. Maybe they hit another submarine. Something happened. There was a fire on board, and essentially, if this is how it went down, possibly the 14 sailors saved the comrades, saved the ships, and averted a catastrophe on a planetary scale. That was Sergei Pavlov, an aide to the Vladian Navy's commander, was quoted by a local outlet, Fontanka, as saying at the private funeral that happened. And then it said that officials in Moscow have faced accusations of trying to cover up the full details of the incident on the vessel. It took 3 days for President Vladimir to publicly acknowledge that there had been a nuclear reactor on board. So I don't know if it was just a nuclear reactor here. It's pretty nuts. Something happened. You don't just say planetary catastrophe. By definition, planetary catastrophe is a planetary catastrophe. Something massive happened. And the reason I think that it was is because that day, if you go back into history, I was downtown freaking out thinking that something just happened and something just started. I went live and I said, this is crazy. There was a Cobra meeting. There was a Ministry of Defense. Something just popped off. And then they lied about Pence basically turning around. He was supposed to be somewhere in like 3 hours, and then all of a sudden, boom, he stopped. And then they lied and said he had never left. It was weird. Like, they turned around his plane 180 and said, let's go home. It was freaking nuts. So I think that may have been the case. I feel like that's like a common sense answer to what this planetary catastrophe could have been. And it's something they say we have. And our military members say that they have been told that this thing is real. This super nuke, it's basically kind of like a Satan 2, only in a drone type thing. And it can just go boom, and it displaces so much water, it can just literally send a 1,500-foot wave. Pretty crazy. All right, and then, but it would have worldwide effects. That's the bad part. It would probably affect parts of Vlad, too. So they would have to do it in certain places. I believe they would have to do it on the other side of the planet for it to have less damage to actual Vlad country, too. My family and friends just think I'm a crazy theorist. This is the only place I can commune with others who really understand my concerns. Gaia Watcher, that's, again, that's why I think many people come. They don't come because of us. They come because of that. The community, the way that I will say this, I structure this so we don't talk crap to each other, that we don't sit here and argue with each other, and that, everybody should have their views and not be, passive aggressive about it either. Just be nice to each other and understand each other. Debbie from Ohio, Donut Factory just dropped a video about Twitter. I will have to check that out. I have not seen that yet. Simply Pony, thank you for the heads up. If you guys haven't checked out Donut Factory, you guys have to. He's a really, really nice guy. He is very, very smart. He has put together he is really one of those kind of creators that you really have to go check out. And then, and mods, I don't know if any of you have his link, make sure to put it in the chat if you do. Mystery School, again, because I love y'all and love to share positive vibes with all. That's for every living being. Love my Foog fam, mods rock, and Adam and Dex too. Shirley Millward and Karen McLean, thank you. All right, and then we have Vlad's new flagship on fire in Neptune missile strike near Snake Island weeks after Moskva sunk. UKR claims. So this is new. This is newer. But if this goes anything like the other, this is very bad. These are two of their most powerful ships, and apparently they are on fire. And now they're even saying it was a Neptune missile. Did they get the same information they got from the last one, which U.S. just admitted that they helped with their satellite data to help them sink the Moskva, which was one of their flagship ships of the Black Sea Fleet. It says that the 409-foot, this is a huge boat, Admiral Makarov has reportedly been struck by the same Neptune missiles that sunk the Vladian missile cruiser Moskva in the Black Sea last month. It says that Vlad's Black Sea Fleet was already down to just 3 major warships after the sinking of Moskva on April 14th. The new missile frigate, Admiral Makarov, is thought to be a valuable target for UKR missile crews as one of the most modern vessels in the Vladian Navy. It says Anton Gerochenko, UKR government advisor and former minister, said on Twitter that the Vlad ship is on fire. It seems to be one of the newer Russian ones. Admiral Makarov. Naval tracking sites claimed a Vladian rescue boat was dispatched to the last known location of the ship, with unconfirmed local media reports suggesting the vessel is on fire. So, we don't know if it's sunk yet or if it's completely garbage now, but this could be a very big move. Since they just yesterday admitted that they helped with that, what do you think the assumption is going to be on this? They are trying to start WW3, and that's no joke, and it looks like they're not going to stop at anything. That's why many of us preppers are preparing for what seems to be inevitable. They are not. They're pulling out all the stop signs, and they're even advertising that they're helping with this. What do you do if you don't have the more powerful military and you do have nukes? Well, maybe that's why they're talking about all this tactical stuff. Dex, this is absolute insanity. I would like to get your thoughts on that.
I can't believe we made the admission we made, and now this happens, just a day or two after. It's we're really skating on thin ice here as far as whether or not we're going into beyond just helping to actually being part of. Some would argue we are part of it because of everything we're doing, but really what matters is the response from Vlad's country. Like, do they take it to the next level or not?
And it says in many different places that basically we're preparing for an escalation. That's what our side is saying. The government and Congress is saying that they are preparing for a West escalation from them. So we'll see. We'll follow it as it goes on. We'll update you. Again, I think this might be something that we may have to update sooner than later because of the situation with this. But this is why people should have their ducks in a row. And then Vlad to send doomsday warning to West at Vlad's WW2 Victory Parade. This is the May 9th event we talked about. The Victory Day, May 9th, which is now just 3 days away, is what some in the West have said. And again, this is legacy media saying that they may declare a full-on WW3 on the US, UKR, and Europe. Now remember, in Vlad country, they have not said they have declared anything. They have not declared a conflict with UKR. They have not even declared a war. What they have done is they said that they're doing a special military operation, kind of like how we do our little operations with our military and say we're going in for a specialized mission or this or that when we don't want to call it conflict. Maybe that is why. I mean, just say hypothetically we don't listen to our legacy media and we listen to theirs, that they are actually trying to demilitarize and everything isn't what it seems or whatever. Then that would make a whole lot of sense that they put in a lot of their old stuff. They just threw away all of their old tanks, their outdated stuff. They gave them 19th century rifles to go in there and fight because maybe they thought UKR was so backwards and didn't have much of anything. They thought, oh, we could just take it with all of that or at least demilitarize them with our crappiest gear. They even conscripted untrained people and sent in the untrained people first, which is kind of savage and messed up. If you think about it, they were sending in untrained people to fight somewhat trained soldiers. It's kind of messed up. Are they saving their badasses for later, for the real conflict? Some think so. It says that Vladian President Vlad delivers a speech during the meeting of the Council of Legislators at the Federal Assemblies in St. Petersburg on April 27th, and it said that President Vlad will send a doomsday warning to the West when he leads celebrations on Monday, marking the 77th anniversary of the Soviet Union's victory over Germany, brandishing Vlad's vast firepower while it forces fight on in UKR. Defiant in the face of deep Western isolation since he ordered the neighbor, Vlad will speak on Red Square before a parade of troops, tanks, rockets, and intercontinental ballistic missiles. A flypast over St. Basil's Cathedral will include supersonic fighters, Tu-160 strategic boom booms, and for the first time since 2010, the IL-80 Doomsday Command Plane, which would carry Vlad's top brass in the event of a nuclear conflict. In that scenario, the IL-80 is designed to become the roaming command center for the Vlad president, which is packed with technology, but specific details are, of course, state secrets. The 69-year-old Kremlin leader has repeatedly likened the conflict in UKR to the challenge the Soviet Union faced when Hitler's Nazis invaded in, of course, 1941. The attempt to appease the aggressor on the eve of the Great Patriotic Conflict turned out to be a mistake that cost our people dearly, Vlad said on February 24th when he announced what he called a special military operation in UKR. We will not make such a mistake a second time. We have no right. So if you look at the symbolism that he goes by, and he actually does say, he does have these kind of statements that he's made about what he wants in the world. He's basically saying we're the evil ones in his case, and that we are encroaching on him. And he says, don't mess around. We're really going to F you up. It's literally what he has said in so many different ways you can't count. So it's not good. You don't underestimate your enemy. A lot of people say, oh, we've got them smashed because we're America. F yeah, but you might want to be careful, because this is no joke. If people think that he is just bumbling around and failing miserably, I don't think they realize what's going on, because they do have a very formidable military. That's their huge strength. They've put every amount of their huge, their budget is, it may be less than ours, but it's like they have put like a third of their entire GDP into this military, because that is their one saving grace. They don't have the Wall Street. They don't have the huge stock market. They don't have the billions and billions and billions we do. What they have is that they've prioritized their military over all. And that's a scary thing. So if you think that these guys are a bunch of wussies and that they just don't know what they're doing, remember, these guys fought by our side at some point, and most people that are old enough to remember these guys are tough as nails. Not to mention, going back to what Canadian Prepper said, what was it? Oh, man. Deprivation without restoration. Basically, being in cities where, when you run out of stuff, you can't just go buy some more. They've lived in some of the toughest communities in Vlad country. Nothing like, what most people have in most countries have dealt with. Dealing with really messed up scenarios, real poverty, and, down and out. So I think it's crazy that any kind of, saying that they are not weak it looks like you are basically, they have Ganda that basically says if you say anything positive or even not negative about Vlad, that you're supposedly on their side. I think that it's smart not to underestimate your enemy, and not to underestimate and to see the truth of it. These guys are tough as nails. And what they're showing us on the news is not correct. That is my opinion. What's yours? Let me know in the comments below. Do you think that they're really just bumbling around and sending 40 miles of tanks in to be, boom boomed by drone technology they know the simplest armies have? It doesn't make sense. The other option is that they're all in on it, right? And then we have Xi sends warning to anyone who questions their zero CV policy. Before we do that, again, let's go over to Bob on the phone, and while you get Bob on, I do want to say thank you. Looks like we have. I have the super thanks now from last show. So if you again, if thank you to the several people that did super thanks. Super thanks, essentially you can support on a replay. Basically you can attach it just like if you were to do a super chat during a live show. Jacob Winter says, thank you for being a shining light in this current world of darkness. It says, I wish you and your family good health and many blessings during these uncertain times. Keep up the excellent work. Thank you, Jacob Winter. I appreciate that. Speaking of Jacobs, Jacob Israel actually did not do his premiere tonight to basically coordinate with us. And I didn't know this until last second. So I just want to make sure you know that was very polite of him to move his premiere. I want everybody to go to Jacob Is's premiere tomorrow morning. Anybody that's not following, make sure to go check him out. That's the kind of considerate things that he does. So again, make sure to go check out his premiere. Go over to Jacob Israel's channel to see what I am talking about. He will most likely have the information there. And we'll also link it on our website. Irish Rebel says thanks and did a super thanks on top of supporting during that show. Thank you. Zippy Moon says, thinking about the Chinese takeover, I keep coming back to the Matrix and the EMP weapons. If we are invaded, would we EMP ourselves for the greater good? Oh, so they wouldn't be able to use our stuff? That's a crazy thought. Kelly2334, again, thank you, and thank you. Thank you for everybody that does those new super chats, super thanks now. Appreciate that. Again, thank you, and thank you. All right, and then Dex, let's see here. We've got, it looks like we have Bob. Do we have Bob on the phone?
Yes, Bob is.
Yes.
Bob, is this the Bob I think it is?
Yes, it is.
Is this military Bob?
Yep, from South Dakota. Yep.
So what's going on? What are we looking at today?
Well, I was going to give you a heads up. I went back to where I was originally from here a couple weeks ago, at the last week of April, excuse me. And when I was coming back, I was on Interstate 90, and from the Illinois-Wisconsin border all the way up by Toma and La Crosse, there was a good-sized military convoy, and they're all heading the same direction. I'm figuring anywhere from 200 to 300 vehicles, and even after I crossed into Minnesota, there was more vehicles coming from Minnesota heading the same direction. And they were all logistics vehicles, not tanks or anything, but logistics vehicle like your Hummers with a water buffalo in the back, and your vehicles all logistics vehicles like the military version of a semi with a flatbed. This is the kind of vehicles that we were running, and they're all heading south. And that, I thought maybe an exercise is going on in McCoy or Douglas. That's up by Toma, but no, these vehicles were actually going through La Crosse, some of them were coming from Minnesota. So, and they weren't all green. They were a mixture of the desert camouflage, which is the tan that you have up right now, and also green camouflage, like the standard. So I'm thinking that they were basically like National Guard units that were heading somewhere, probably east, because I-90 turns when you get down by Chicago and you head towards the East Coast on I-90, if that was their path.
So, and by the way, did you see all of the people that sent in videos of the generators being moved around? Specifically, we have now multiple people from around the country showing us these huge convoys, and it's not the same freeways either. They're moving around generators and logistical things like these mobile tents that were on huge wide load things. They're moving around specialty gear. That's pretty much what I can say to the East Coast. Why would they be moving around that? Go ahead.
They have been building up the East Coast for a while, even the military flights. I've been watching Monkey Works, which he's former military himself, I believe Air Force. He has noticed heavy lifts running the East Coast, and most of your intelligence planes, your P-8s, your P-6s, certain planes, your R-130s or whatever they're called, all the intel planes have been pushing hard on the East Coast, basically from the edge of Canada down to Florida, the edge of Florida, and they've been running hard. So I don't know if there's possibly a threat on the coastline that they know about, but who knows? So the other thing I've noticed is when we talked a while back ago about the ships being loaded in San Diego, and you had pictures of those ones. I forget the name of the ship. That ship actually landed and got unloaded in the Netherlands. I've caught video of it and seen the equipment coming off of it. So that ship that came out of San Diego is now over in Europe.
So, and I want to remind people what you are talking about, because Bob called in before. Bob is he's former military, and I guess you're always military. So, but he basically said, hey, when you look out, this is before all of this started. This is before February 24th, and it was a few days before, and we said we think something's about to go down. Because the U.S. is deploying. They deployed all of their carriers fully loaded. There were satellite images, fully loaded with planes. Everybody was being deployed. The Fugel family, anybody who knew somebody was in the military, they were deploying. And we were like, what the hell is about to happen here? There were shots of these boats getting loaded. Bob actually called in and gave us all the information. He was able to decipher all of the codes that were on the different vehicles. Told us, this means this is part of this squad, this part and everything else. And he said, you really got to worry. And before this, he called and said, you really got to worry when they start loading these kinds of boats up. And they were the logistical boats that held all the supplies. And basically this certain kind of boat, when those go out, those can actually support an offensive for so many days. For instance, a boat this size loaded to the brim could support an offensive for 30 days straight. And those boats were what were being loaded. And then, of course, right after that is when all this started happening. So Bob is now saying that the logistics, the same kind of things, but on land, are now being pushed around the United States, which in my mind verifies a lot of the stuff that I've been saying. And from all of the information from the Fugel fam, they're loading up the East Coast. They are moving things all around. And this is way more than just like kind of drills being done or moving it from base to base. These are, 50, 60, 70 mile long convoys of all the same things. They're moving around generators, checkpoints, all sorts of things. What the hell is happening? But of course, nothing is happening in the majority of people's eyes. Everybody says it's always nothing. Go ahead, Bob.
Well, no, I agree with you. And what in the military terms eyes is called prepositioning of equipment. And unlike what the media has spread out about Europe and how that Polo convoy was 40 miles long and all this, we don't work that way. The logistics are part of everything. And if you don't have, the phrase, you don't have beans and bullets, you can't do anything. Well, we understand that, and the military trains for it. And even your National Guard units. I mean, I went up to a certain place called Sioux Falls today, and you had F-16s touch and going all day long while I was up there. So, they're preparing for something. They ain't playing.
Which, by the way, it costs hundreds of thousands of dollars to run those F-16s for even a matter of hours. You don't just do it unless you're really training for something. They do train a lot
they
with
were
them.
doing a lot.
But yeah. Well, so Bob, and let me ask you this. Do you believe that as far as your view on Vlad country, do you think they're a bunch of bumbling idiots and they're really just bumbling their way through this?
It's hard to say right now. I think the military, I'm talking our military, with the, technical advantages of our technology, there are a lot of us vets have noticed, the ones that, it's been 30 years since I was in the Corps, nearly. What we're noticing is the equipment and how it's said it's better and it's been modernized and all this. We're not seeing that. We're not seeing that right now. Our stuff with the M1A1 or A3 or 2 or whatever sub package they have on it now, has been battle proven. But the other stuff on the other side really hasn't really gone through a lot of the stuff. It's actually been destroyed since 1991. And if you look at that and you kind of go, wait a minute here, what the heck is going on here? You kind of wonder, but at the same time, with the nukes and everything else, you have to wonder about it. Because is he willing to pull something or do something? God only knows. And in my heart, I pray that he doesn't. But at the same time, people are starting to get wised up to the fact it could happen. And within the last couple of days, I actually ran into a gal at a grocery store up in Sioux Falls. And she was wondering why I was buying cases of this and this and that. And I was not buying 1 or 2 cans. I was buying a case. And I told her, my parents lived through the Depression. And I believe in keeping my stuff stocked up and being ready for a bad day. Take care of your family. And she looked at me and she said, I'm starting to spread the word around. And how do you store your stuff? I said, if it ain't in cans and it's dried goods, it goes in 5-gallon buckets. And she just was blown out of the water with the way I said it. I said, you can put a sealed lid and it's good for how many years? You've got to be smart about it. And this woman was like, wow. I said, plus I'm former military and I'm sensing something ain't right in Denmark. So, people are starting to wake up to a point, but there's too many distractions going on right now. Way too many.
Yeah, that's 100% true. Now, I guess, and one more thing. Do you think that how they said that they put 40 miles of their tanks and Humvees, do you think that that's any military, especially a modernized one or one of the big nation states, the big 3 countries, do you think anybody would just drive 40 miles of vehicles down a straight road? You've seen that, and probably we would see that in the Middle East in like villages and things, because what they're worried about is the underground kind of explosions. But why would you do that when you're fighting a country that has access to drones, satellite imagery, all that kind of stuff? Would you ever do that as a military? Would anybody just drive 40 miles of vehicles down a single road? Does that sound like it makes sense?
No, but also, if they don't learn from history, because for the simple fact, if you look through history from, per se, 1941 to now, Mother Nature has so much control. The Germans screwed up doing it, so did actually the Russians screw up and did it in that time frame. I mean, the area of the world that they're playing with has always been thorn in a military side because of not just because of the weather, because of how the fighting conditions are and the terrain. If you look back through history, even World War II, you will see that on both sides it was a fight of attrition. It really was. I mean, around certain parts of UKR, as you call it, the Russians were handed their backsides after they took land, and vice versa from the Germans in that time frame. I mean, it's insane. Well,
I get what you're saying. Basically, you would do that in the case of, so one thing that was talked about before this happened, oops, sorry about that, guys. One thing that was talked about before this happened was the fact that it was muddy and it was gross, and they were waiting until they had better conditions. So that one road may have been the only option, possibly, as far as if they drove on a different one, it would have been too muddy, and how heavy these vehicles are, it could have sank. You could have had rain, they could have had mud, they could have had any kind of thing. And they're like, well, the risk and benefit, solution here is like, well, we drive through there, we might lose half of our vehicles because they're going to be vulnerable, like ducks in a row, literal ducks in a row. But that's what we have to do. So I get that. That is something I never thought of, as far as that's common sense, a reason why they may have actually done that.
Well, and plus taking the fact also that that military over there, like, especially with what I was with, the Marine Corps, land, sea, and air, okay, it's joint operations, and they're all coordinated. The Army has the same thing. The Air Force, the Navy, we all group together and we all train together. Well, if they're not doing that over in that area of the world for a particular reason, because they think their spearhead will go in and just do what it did back in the 40s, that could be part of the problem that they're running into, is their way of doing things hasn't been modernized. And if they haven't learned from the lessons of the past, they're repeating the problems. And who knows? I still personally hope that we don't see all HELL break free. I really don't. But God only knows how these politicians and other individuals will take advantage of the situation. And we're the ones left holding the bag and paying the bill.
Well, Bob, thank you so much for calling in today, and thank you for your educated opinion on this, and I really do appreciate you, and thank you again for your service. As always, thank you, and thank you.
No, not a problem. And I hope you got your little thing in the mail, and I hope you like it.
The board, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so I think it's reversed, so I can actually show this. So hold on 1 second. All right, so I have it here. So no, I did get it, and thank you very much. It is going.
Well, that wood that.
It's going up. This is recycled wood, and then of course, he paints on it, and of course he makes these for vets. So he makes different designs, and he does them for vets, and just gives them away. So Bob sent me this. Thank you so much, Bob. I appreciate it. It's now in my studio.
Well, that wood that it's sitting on is close to 90 to 100 years old. So it's an old seed barn of mine that I'm taking down. So put it to good use.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you, Bob. And
no problem. I appreciate you guys, and you guys keep doing what you're doing and trying to help others figure this madness out that we're living through.
Well, we'll keep rolling. And Bob, thank you again. I apologize. I almost forgot about that. And I was going to do a whole show of all the stuff that people have sent as far as art. And I do thank you. And Bob, thank you for your service. Salute. And you have a wonderful night, okay?
You too. Take care of yourself.
All right. Bye-bye, Bob. Again, Bob is a really great guy. If he had a channel, I would send you that way, and I would most definitely support. And he doesn't sell those or anything. He just gives them away to vets and things like that's the kind of guy that Bob is. Real quick, I do want to remind you, if you haven't already checked out solar generators, I would highly recommend it because they are silent. Our whole studio is powered by energy. If you don't know what an energy solar generator is, there is a waiting list on these. They are so coveted right now, but that list just got shorter. They just shortened the time to ship these out. So make sure to go over and check out, especially now. The only reason we were able to get in with them is because they were partnered with EMP Shield, and EMP Shield is now making an actual protector, and we have one that goes on the in and the out. So you can actually get an Energy Flex 1500 right now for the first time. They have added an actual discount, $100 off the main unit. And if you want, you can actually look into getting an EMP shield that actually can protect this on the input and on the output side. So if anything happens, this is protected. Now, as far as the panels, you wouldn't need it for those. So that's something that's really cool. We learned that on the episode where we talked to Andrew about all of those questions. So if you haven't seen that episode, make sure to do so. Greatest part, this is absolutely silent. You cannot hear it. It is literally quieter than a desk fan. It's quieter than a box of cereal because it's literally silent. There is no sound, why does that matter? If you have an SHTF situation happen, you are going to have everyone within a block hearing you if you have a gas-powered generator. That is a huge downside. Even if you build it in like our cabin, we have an off-grid cabin, and that cabin has a generator inside of a shack that is insulated and everything. It has a place for the air. Because it needs air and oxygen, there's no way to completely drown out the sound. So you hear it and you feel it. If somebody was desperate and their power's gone out and the whole country's gone out, people are going to be searching for people with generators. Now, the best scenario is if you have a gas-powered generator, you're out in the woods and nobody can hear you, then that's great. But for especially anybody that's in an urban environment, this is the one of the best scenarios. Even if you're in an apartment, the thing is if you only have, say, one foldable panel, solar panel, say just have one 100 watt, you can charge this all the way up. It would just take a little bit longer. With the base unit, you can actually plug in up to 4 panels, and they even make a mod box that goes in between the batteries that can actually allow you to plug in 12 panels. Then you can really charge it fast. Now, the coolest part about this is that it's also expandable. Normally, when you buy some of their competitors, you are stuck with the battery that is built inside of it, and once that battery degrades or dies, you are ending up buying an entire new unit, which in the future, it's going to be very hard. Again, with the microchips that are involved with these, it has been a struggle for all of the manufacturers. So, and also the prices on these are all going to go up, and not just this company, but every company, because it has to. The microchips involved in making this kind of electronics are going up and up and up, and very well may just disappear if Taiwan gets taken. So I would highly recommend, for the first time ever, now they have a sale. Also, you can expand up to 96 batteries. So you can keep this, you can go with one unit. You can expand it to 96 batteries. They all stack, and they can also stack sideways. Not only that, it can charge extremely fast. It is just one of the best, high quality produced solar generator out there. Marfooglenews.com/energy. Again, now the wait for it is the least it's been in the last year. So make sure to put in the code Marfoogle. That way you get your discount and you end up helping us out at the same time. Now, they also have a discount on the packs, on the kits. So make sure to go check out that link. It will show you all of the different discounts available. It is definitely a good thing to have is a backup. All right, and then Kelly2334, gotta go, gotta get up early in the morning. I will catch the replay. Peace and grace to all. Kelly, I just want to say a very special thank you. Thank you for being at basically every single show. If you have to leave earlier one day, that's not a big deal. I am so thankful for you watching all of the replays. Jammer, thank you so much for modding, and again, always gifting out people Marfia badges and making people welcome. Vault11, thank you for your support. I appreciate that. Says, hey, y'all. And then Zippy Moons, man, I'm slipping. Better late than not showing up. Shout out to Susan Donahue, #Team Humanity. That's pretty awesome that Susan's a legend around here. So other Foogle family shout you out. That's awesome. Mighty Tort, thank you again for being here. MRSA1, again, gifted 10 badges out. So thank you so much. I love you guys. And then Dex, we have a lot of web-only content, lots of stuff going on. Just to let you guys know, just a crazy amount of stuff is piled over there. Do you want to go over that now?
Yeah, absolutely. And the other article that we were talking about too is about Xi and the statement he made. I know you hit the headline on it, but that's kind of a big position that he has taken, at least with the country. You know, a lot of people give them a lot of criticism over what they're doing with their zero policy. But for him to come out and make such a harsh statement to the rest of the world, but really even to his own country, telling everybody, you know, look, don't criticize us, and if anybody that does, you know, it's kind of a big deal. So definitely go check that and everything else out. If you go to marfooglenews.com and you click on the thumbnail for the show and you scroll down to that web-only content where you open up the description on YouTube and click on show notes, You can get to every article. You can get to every caller. You can get to Jacob Israel, who we put on there as well. All the information is updated right there. But more importantly is the rest of the show. So you've got everything else that we can't cover, that's too hot for TV, too far to one side. So go there and find out what's going on. Lot more of the political stuff happening, which is typical, and it's going to be ramping up even more so as we move into the rest of the year and the next big event that's coming up. But you'll get updates there with a lot of the rhetoric being hurled around back and forth. There was a major lawsuit that actually got a representative in my state. They were trying to keep off of a ticket, and she was able to overcome that. You can find out who that is. You can find out how someone else in my state, I don't know why Georgia's so popular, but became a millionaire. You can figure that story out, as well as a lot of other updates around, 3-letter agencies and other new faces that are coming to the administration, especially who they are and what their backgrounds are. So head over to marfooglenews.com. Don't miss that. There's a lot of information. We put it together every night. When every one of our big shows, we have sort of the rest of the story, right? And so go there and check it out, marfooglenews.com.
Special thing there of the IRS targeting conservative groups. Make sure to go check that out. And then Marky Sparky, thank you so much. Simply Pony, FX Freedom to Think Mother Father. Peaceful Warrior Debbie, thank you from Canada. I really appreciate your support, and thank you. You can always write a message there. You know that, though. Marky Sparky again. Damian Croix sent pics in DM on Twitter of vehicles on a train like Bob was talking about in Milton, Wisconsin back in March. I will make sure to show those tomorrow. Can you please check into the story about the UN trying to take away nation's sovereignty on May 22nd? Anything that has a date most likely is not true, Cameron, but I will check into it. Again, very well. I've been surprised lately. And then Bible Talk 777, love to the family, the mods, and the Marf, Dex J. Or sometimes it says I haven't seen any story that confirms or denies it. Cameron, I will dig into it because you've piqued my interest. I most definitely will. Thank you, everybody. Sean Jock, Mysteries Mystery School, Irish Rebel, thank you so much. Thank you for everybody that did the super thanks. Again, just to let you know, if you do a super thanks on this show, I cannot say thank you until the next show, just so you know, because obviously that's done on the replay. There was some confusion first day that we did turn that on because it was they didn't realize they weren't watching a live show, so they thought I was going to shout them out. But the super thanks are done afterwards, and it's like in that bar there. So those are like super chats that you can do connected to parts of the show, but obviously I can't read them until after you do them and for the next show. So just to clarify, and thank you for those of you that did that. It took us a year to get it. After everybody else had that feature, it took us about a year or however long. It felt like forever. So thank you, everybody that does that. I appreciate it. Irish Rebel did that. Thank you so much. And 3 City Cats did one. Thank you so much, everybody that popped in. And then, again, I made sure to shout all you guys out, including Kelly2334. All right, you guys. Dex, thank you for your service tonight. Appreciate you working so hard. Thank you.
Much love, brother. Great show.
It is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shout. Shoutro. Simply pony jetty and no pole. Got the back around and full. No pulls up around the here. Simply pony and know it's clear. Gotta bring it Remember that the show continues over on D-Live and also on Marfoogle Jams. If you want to stay on YouTube, then you go over to Marfoogle Jams for the music. This music is made with a looper on the spot, so it is not good. It is just made very fast. So I don't ever claim it to be good. It's where I say thank you to the people that matter most, you. All right, let's make a fresh one for our crew tonight. Let's see here. Looks like Irish Rebel is number one, but tied. There's a tie tonight. And EMP Shield is there too. Thank you, EMP Shield, for your support tonight.